Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Carmine Sabia for Explain America, and the daughter-in-law of the President of the United States, Lara Trump, the former head of the RNC. She's taken no prisoners in her attack on one very popular media personality. Before we get started, please make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Those little things really help us out, and they help our channel continue to grow. I don't know if you guys saw this week, Katie Couric, very popular, was one of the biggest journalists in the country. These people that come on, they talk about being fair journalists, impartial, they're after the truth. She sat there for over a minute trying to bait John Fetterman, Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, who, by the way, let's pray for his speedy recovery. Tried to bait him into saying something negative about Charlie Kirk. Tried to basically bait him into saying Charlie Kirk deserved what happened to him. How evil do you have to be to do that? Senator Fetterman, to his credit, stood strong, stood firm in his belief that we are entitled to free speech in this country, stood firm that nobody should ever harm somebody else for speaking freely, stood firm in saying that what happened to Charlie Kirk was abhorrent and evil. Because you either stand for free speech for everybody or you don't stand for it at all. Yes, Senator Fetterman and Charlie Kirk disagreed on a lot of issues. I disagree with Senator Fetterman on a lot of issues. But I respect him. I respect him because he believes in America. He believes in free speech. And he's true to himself and his conscience. He's a good man. Lara Trump, she sent a lot of praise his way and a lot of scorn at Katie Couric. I want you to watch this and let me know what you think in the comments.
Lara, would love to turn your attention to this interview that Katie Couric did with John Fetterman. You and I spoke about Senator Fetterman the other day, and you did an interview with him recently. But here he is pushing back with her as she tries to sort of box him in on Charlie Kirk. Watch this.
Did you have any issues now in hindsight over some of the things that Charlie Kirk said and some of the rhetoric he used during his life?
I didn't agree with much of it. I didn't closely follow his specific kinds of views, but I did.
I'm sure you learned about them after his death, though.
No, I haven't done a deep dive on it.
I think some people might say Charlie Kirk's rhetoric was extreme. You know, I think that's the conversation that happened. People condemned political violence, but they also felt a great deal of discomfort with his language.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think we agree that we probably didn't agree with much of what he said. And I think I'm sure we both agree that you shouldn't shoot people, and you shouldn't execute them in public.
Yeah, the language discussion with Katie Couric that ends with the most horrible political violence that we've seen in a very long time, which is not really acknowledged on her end of that conversation, Laura.
Maybe Katie Couric should do a deep dive into what Charlie Kirk stood for, because he stood for freedom of speech. No matter what it was you were saying, he would go into these college campuses, into these bastions of liberal ideology, and he would want to engage with people. He did it peacefully. He did it respectfully. He believed in America. He believed in God, in Jesus. And there's nothing that he said or ever, talked about with people that was outrageous. So maybe she wants to go back and look at this. But the idea that she was essentially trying to get validation from John Fetterman there for Charlie Kirk's murder is kind of outrageous. I don't even know what the point of any of that was, but it kind of goes back to, how we got to this spot in the first place, where we saw a young father assassinated in cold blood. It's because people continue to push this idea that somehow there's a problem with that and maybe action should be taken. That was really shameful and pretty disgraceful and disgusting.
Well, and more for you to maybe talk about this with Andrew Colvett. He'll be on your show this weekend. Of course, he's the TPUSA spokesperson, as well as